Charles, the world is not the same as it was.
Welcome to IAYTD. Last night I saw Logan, so I wanted to discuss it with you. This is in full spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, I have a written review which will be in the comments, so you can check that out first if you haven't seen Logan and don't want to spoil anything. So first things first, is it a good movie? Absolutely. Loved it. I loved every minute of it. This is the Wolverine that I wanted. It's great to see an R-rated Wolverine. It just felt visceral and perfect, and I loved it. So what were the highlights for me? Obviously, Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, and Daphne Keane, who plays X-23, all gave stellar performances. Like, this was emotional and impactful and just rich and deep, and there were conversations that were heartwarming and heartbreaking. Like, this was fantastic. I loved that the cast was so small that the other X-Men movies have felt bloated. That it was like, why are these characters here? There's no history, there's no story to these people. These performances were great. The villains of the movie, okay, fine. They were not bad, but not a highlight for me, especially considering at the end of X-Men Apocalypse, it was teased that this had to do with Mr. Sinister. Right, that Mr. Sinister somehow got his DNA and would maybe be responsible for creating X-23. So this kind of veered away from that. They never said Essex. I thought the lead scientist would be Mr. Sinister, even a grounded, realistic version of Mr. Sinister, and that never happened. So that kind of set us up for a disappointment unless they're saving that for some other story. Like a New Mutants or X Factor movie or something, which this movie clearly leads up to. So let's talk about where this movie leaves us. We have this group of mutants. I don't even know if I want to say mutants because they're kind of genetically engineered, but maybe they're the New Mutants going to Eden, which is in Canada somewhere. Now, call me crazy, but Richter, which is a cool nod to the comics, Richter was on the radio with someone, and they were like, yes, your asylum is approved. That sounded to me like Halle Berry. I heard that voice, and I immediately was like, oh, was that Halle Berry? Because that would be cool. So if you are going to see Logan again, I want you to pay attention to who he's talking to and see if you notice that too, or if I'm just crazy and looking for connections. But this movie clearly leads to a place of these new mutants in the future. It's not the too far future, so it could still be a fairly relatable movie. So I think that's what we're going to see. There's talks of X-Force and Deadpool or New Mutants. Like there's rumors about all these movies, and this leads us perfectly to it. The movie also smartly didn't say which characters died and which might still be out there. They didn't show us any flashbacks, they didn't list names, and so to have someone come back is possible. To say, well, Storm, yes, she is alive. Something like that. So the movie smartly closed things up for Hugh Jackman, but left things open if they wanted to continue in this franchise. I would love to see a reboot. After 17 years, there is so much continuity that they are just wrapped up in, and it's like, I just want to reboot and start over and clean and do it right. The action sequences were fantastic. The kind of blend of martial arts and visceral just like brawling that we saw was great. X-23, every time she was about to fight someone, you just get on the edge of your seat like, oh, here it comes. And that feeling kept happening where it was like, yes, what's she gonna do? What's he gonna do? I loved it. The only things that didn't work for me in Logan were pretty minor. The first one being that it felt rather repetitive, that the same beats tended to happen over and over. They're on this journey, and they're somewhere, and the trucks roll in. And you're like, okay, things are going down. They escape, they go somewhere, the trucks roll in, they're here, they move on. They go it just keeps kind of like repeating, but I didn't mind, but it became a bit by the numbers. The only other thing is visually, the color palette of the movie was not, it wasn't very exciting to look at. What I mean by that is everything tended to be very muted and dark. And so I know that that's what they're going for, but there was no like flash of colors. There's nothing vibrant to look at. It felt very kind of visually a little stale, but that was probably intentional, so I'm not going to hold that against the movie. This movie did smartly take from various sources, so it's not a old man Logan story, but it does take several key beats from that and uses them. So him traveling, that's an old man Logan homage. In the comics, Wolverine is the one that kills all the X-Men. And so they spun that and made it Professor X, which is an interesting dynamic and how powerful he is, but how he's kind of out of control, basically. So they were able to kind of adapt Old Man Logan in a way that made sense for this Wolverine, and I appreciated that. So I don't want to talk for too long because I want you to talk. I want you to share what you liked, didn't like. Was this movie, did it meet the hype, or was it a disappointment for you? So in the comments, I want you to tell me pros, cons, what didn't you like, did you like, talk to each other, talk to me. Let's talk about Logan. So thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, all that stuff, and we'll see you next time.
Logan, you still have time.